Okay, hey there. I did not advertise. I just decided I'm going to jump on because, just thinking about a lot of things. I mean, and the name of this is Time Moves On, and it does move on. I mean, no matter what tragedy or trauma you've been through, time does move on. The memory's already there, is always there. The thoughts are always there, but unfortunately, you just can't stand still in time. Everybody gets all upset about why these parents are doing this, that, or the other when they have a missing child, or when their child has passed away, or but the thing is people, you got to understand and think about this logically. Time moves on. They have to move on. They can't stand still in one place and wait forever if something and then it never happened, like waiting on a child to come back home if they're missing. You think that people would never move, they would never change their room, they would never do any of that, but unfortunately that's just not how it really is. I mean, time just moves on. People have to move on. It's just like it's the same thing when you have friends in your life. I mean, some people are in your life for short periods of time, some people are in your life for long periods of time. It's just time. Hey, Sprinkle, good to see you. Glad to see you. Um, is it? It is 12. Okay, it is 12:21. I didn't realize what time it was. Yeah, I didn't advertise or anything. I just jumped on Sprinkle. I was just needing to reach out to the world. I was just feeling closed in. I'm like, you know what? I just need to go live for a little bit and talk about how time moves on and how it affects everybody. You yourself know this. I mean, I don't know if y'all know this, but Sprinkle Donut and I both have lost a child. Yeah, there's a reason or a season. You're right, Sprinkle Donut, there is. And it's not that you don't like the people or whatever. It's just that people kind of grow apart. They lose touch. And and then something else happens. It's a constant change. The world is a constant change. The world you live in is a constant change. So I just wanted to reflect on that for a minute. Um, and then I wanted to talk about something I found over here the other day when I was looking at the Susan Smith story. We know that she's going to be up for parole again at the end of 2026. And there was a little news story from a channel over here in Austin where I live that was talking about or talking to the father of these children. And it was so very interesting. If I knew how to share the screen, I would share the screen, but I'm on my phone and I don't really know how to do that. So we're just going to have to do a little reading, okay? So let me pull this back up. So it's Susan Smith, okay, husband, and it's called, I think it's uh, reflects on the parole, I think. I think that's what it was called. I'm pulling it back up. So, and it's good to know that he has two other children, which I'm proud for him. She took she took his only children, but in time, he has two other children. He's now married to somebody else, and that's great, and I'm sure that he protects his other children. He thought he was protecting those who nobody ever gets up and goes to work one day and thinks, gosh, when I get home this afternoon, my children are going to be gone from something my wife did. Nobody ever thinks that. I mean, you don't wake up thinking things like that. So, Susan Smith's ex-husband, David Smith, strongly opposed her parole in late 2024, telling the parole board she deliberately killed their sons, Michael and Alex, and never showed him remorse, arguing her life sentence was insufficient and he would attend every future hearing to ensure release was granted. He expressed deep grief and the profound impact of her actions, highlighting he was asking for the board to deny the parole to honor their children's memories. And I agree with him. So here's the key points from David's testimony to the board. Deliberate act. He emphasized that Susan's choice to end their son's life, not a tragic accident. The lack of remorse. He stated that she never expressed genuine remorse to him. Now, she may have said, I'm sorry to the courts and I'm sorry to other people, but she never came to him and said, I'm sorry. I did this. I don't know what I was thinking. I know there's no excuse for what I did. I know you can never forget, that kind of thing. She never expressed it to him. He feels like the sentence was inadequate. He felt her sentence of 30 years to life equated to only 15 years per child and just wasn't enough. Continued advocacy. He has pledged to appear at future parole hearings to fight her release. The personal impact. He shared how her actions nearly led him to take his own life due to the grief, and that happens constantly as well, because you feel like I could not save my own child, or you're so grief stricken, you're so, it will bring you to the point of wanting to take your own life. It absolutely will. I've been there, I've done that, I know how I felt. But that I would like to get a copy of her appeal. I'm trying to see if I can find things like that to talk about, because these cases, once they're closed, there's a lot of information about them that we don't really know because we weren't in the courtroom. And especially these old cases, because these old cases were not televised. You weren't able to sit and watch them. So there's a lot of information that we would like to know about. So let me go see if I can find this other thing I pulled up. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Last night, the winds was blowing 30 to 40 miles per hour over here, and my whole yard is filled with leaves. Everything was blown off my back porch. I got a mess I have to go outside and clean up, but that's okay. We'll get it done at some point today. I'm fine with it. So hang on. Let me pull up this right here. Hang on. Here we go. It's really cloudy today. I think it's going to start raining again. And that's okay. I mean, because we're about to have another cold front. We need the rain. I know we do. So here's what it shows. Let's see. Um, that's not the appeal I'm looking for. Hang on a minute. Okay. It keeps thinking I'm trying to look for the parole hearing, her appeal at the parole hearing, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the actual appellate brief. Here we go. I might have to look at it this way. Anyway. Okay. I also am going to go back over on Reddit. We're going to look at a few things over there. Hang on. Okay. This is her first Court of Appeals record in Texas. Okay. Pull it back up. I want to read it though. I don't want to see that. I want to see the actual. Oh boy. Case number. I don't know if it's going to let me pull that up. It says motion, dismiss petition for writ. And Miranda. Okay, the dog needs to quit barking. He was granted a motion for something back in 2006. Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is not the right. Well, let me just do it this way. Jack, stop. I'm sorry. My dog is going to bark. He's all upset. Somebody's in the next door neighbor's yard. They don't belong there. And he watches his house like a hawk. He knows who belongs where. It's too funny. So, oh well, wait a minute. There's too many. Okay, I'm gonna have to go to a different one. Stop it, Jack. Stop it. I'm sorry, guys. Let me put this on mute for a second to correct this dog. Okay, well, he went outside to go bark anyway. I gotta let the other one out. Hang on. My little girl dog, she don't like to jump through the dog door, so I have to go personally just let her out the door. She just doesn't like it. Another thing I started working on yesterday, which is, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if you have, real wood cabinets, and they have, they're not white, like they have a finish on it. I'm gonna tell you what you can do to make them look brand new. And I do this all the time, okay? There's this stuff called Rejuvenate. It's called Crystal Clear Finish. And it's a cabinet and furniture restorer, and it revitalizes their shine. So what I do is when there's like a little scratch or something on my cabinet, because we have these cabinets, they're called, oh God, what is it? What color is this? Well, of course, I can't remember it right this minute because my mind is going crazy with other things I want to talk about. But it's like a cappuccino color. They're kind of dark, right? So I get the little um, the tint, and I just kind of like put a little bit on each one of the scratches and then just kind of smooth it a little bit so it fills in whatever the scratch is. And then I take this Rejuvenate and I wipe a coat of that on there, and they stay looking brand new until somebody scratches it again. It's really a unique product, and you can get it at Lowe's or wherever. So, just a little tidbit about taking care of your cabinets. But anyway, oh, I was pulling this back up on YouTube see, I'm kind of scatterbrained today. Let me get it right here. Okay, here we go. Um, let's see, find Susan Smith's actual appeal. Okay, brief. There we go. Let's pull it up. I was also on Reddit today finding some information things. I was looking at the Sebastian and Rogers case over on Reddit. There's a wealth of knowledge over there, and there are people over there, and I know that it's Chris and Katie and whoever who actually are on Reddit talking about this child. Oh, let me take care of something else I found too. Now, this is off of Susan Smith. This goes back over to Sebastian Rain Drake Rogers. I saw a post where a creator posted, they're moving away, supposedly to Arizona. They're selling the house. Okay. I went out to Zillow. The house is not listed for sale on Zillow. I will access the records, the deed of trust records, and the warranty deed records through their county to see if any ownership's been transferred. But as far as I can see, that house is not for sale. Again, it's more misinformation put out for, I guess, clicks, views, likes, whatever. I mean, just to get you to look at the case. I don't know, but that kind of stuff, it's bad and it should not happen. People should not be putting that kind of thing out there. If you don't have proof, don't put it out there. If you don't have a receipt to show what you're saying is real, don't put it out there because it confuses people and messes up the case and it gets people on tantrums they don't need to have because that's not helping the case, right? So, let's see, South Carolina. Here we go. Let's get this. Okay. All right. I think I have to go right here to do it. Whoops. Here we go. Okay. That is, I think this is it. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Look, it's not listed by, oh, that's so strange. Her case is not listed. It's listed under a number, like there's not a name attached to it. Are you kidding me? Let me see. I hope that's not the case because then I would have to go out and do a whole bunch of other things just to get that case number to be able to look it up in the South Carolina appeals courts. Okay, let me see. Wow. Says Susan Smith matched 500 people. Okay, well, let's go back over here. There can't be 500 of them. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna be able to look it up that way. I'm gonna have to look it up a different way. Wow, that just pisses me off. Okay. Well, let me go over to Scribed. Scribed has a bunch of things on it. If you've never been to this website, it's called Scribed. It's SCRIB as in boy, D as in dog.com. And there are literally thousands of legal documents uploaded to that website where people have bought them and just put them on there. There's all kinds of I mean, everything from Nicholas to Alex Murdaugh, everything you could imagine is on Scribed. So here we go. Let me pull it up this way. Oh boy. I can't believe it's already Thursday, January the 8th. Okay. Let's see. Let me see if I can put it underneath the word brief and see if it'll pull it up. Because there's so many different documents over here for Susan Smith. Here we go. Okay. Okay, here we go. That's Stephen Marshall. Hang on a second. Why is this not showing up like this? Oh boy. Okay, we might have that's Trump. That's not her. Damn, stupid. Okay, well I'm having a little bit of an issue today finding things, aren't I? Well, that's crazy. Susan Smith. I'm gonna put South Carolina and see if that helps. Well, just a second. We'll find it. If not, we'll move on to something else. It's fine. It's fine. We'll figure it out. Okay. Well, it is not. Hang on. Okay, let me just flip through this list right quick. But I'm also going to go over to Reddit and we're going to look at some of that stuff because I am not seeing her actual Court of Appeals docket here, her documents. Okay, published. Let's see who this is on. Just a second. The way they're listed over here is not like you think it's listed. It's not like by name. Like a lot of times it'll be by the number, and if you don't have the actual number of your Supreme Court appeals does not have the same number as the case number that was assigned to it in the state or the county court where they were actually tried. So you have to go find one number and then get to the next one. Hey KJ Mack, good to see you. How you doing? Yeah, I didn't advertise or anything. I just jumped on. So let's go over to Reddit. We're going to talk about it for a second since I can't find the appeal I'm looking for. It's going to take me more than a minute. I don't want to waste a lot of time on people. I know people are doing things and they just want to listen. They don't want me to be messing around trying to find things. So let's go back over to Reddit. Now, this was on Sebastian Rogers' case this morning, and there's a lot of discussion strings on here about Sebastian Rogers. So let's pull this one back up. I have a little bit of sore throat too. You know, the if you live in Texas or you're familiar with Texas, there's a thing called cedar fever. And if you live in the hill country like I do, there's cedar everywhere. Now, for our particular lot, they cleared it all off. But the lot behind my back 40, which is what I want to call it, those people behind over there did not clear theirs off. So they're blooming and just blowing everywhere. And it's just a miserable day for people who have problems with cedar. So let's see. Let me go over here. We're going over to one. This is a little breakdown. It's called "Who Really Saw Sebastian Rogers Last?" Breaking down the timeline and the discrepancies. So this is from Reddit. Now, when I read these things off of Reddit, I'm not going to give the Reddit person's name. I'm just going to give you the string that it came from, and it's Sebastian Rogers. And the name of the stream is "Who Really Saw." Okay. So the timeline discrepancy. TBI reports that Sebastian was last seen on February the 26th, 2024, in an area of Stafford Court. Previous accounts stated he was last seen at home on February the 25th, walking to his room. This raises questions and has this change occurred? Yes, why? Witness accounts. If Sebastian was seen in the area on February 26th, who saw him? Why has this witness remained unidentified and their account withheld? And you know what? If it is true, if there is somebody that saw him and LE has that, thank you. I hope they do. And they're not going to tell us, and I don't want them to, but I hope they do. Foul play or not, law enforcement claims no foul play, but secrecy around a potential witness contradicts this. If a car or another person was involved, foul play becomes a possibility, and that is true. I agree with that. Proof of life concerns. Challenges to the idea that the Texas Roadhouse sighting is sufficient proof of life. Real proof of life would involve a detailed witness statement or concrete evidence of his movements. See, I agree with that too. Call for transparency. Why is the public still being led to believe Katie was the last person to see Sebastian? This demands clarity and disclosure of any witness accounts to help the family and the investigation. But no, don't tell me, don't give me your witness's name. Keep that private. If you have a witness that saw him, keep that private because at some point, if there was foul play, they're going to have to bring a case against somebody. So here we start. This is where the string starts. People start talking amongst themselves. And the first person says, "Personally, I think that might be wrong. Katie gave Sebastian a high dose of sleeping pills, and he passed. It was an accident because of Chris's 5 CPS reports. They decided to hide the body. Plus, Chris had scratches and bite marks on his arms. I think Sebastian was in the landfill, and that is why Chris said no one will ever find him. Why, Chris, you know where he is? And this is not my thinking or my speaking. This is their thinking. So I think that's outlandish to say, and it had 5 upvotes. And I don't think people should be saying that, right? You're spreading rumors. You're spreading, even though that is what you think happened. That does not mean anything. Hey, Coupon, and good to see ya. Happy to see y'all today. Okay, the next person says, I think the sleeping meds OD is a very real possibility. And instead of calling 911, Katie freaked out because of the CPS reports. I also think there's more like Sebastian sleeping in the garage, and maybe that's where he was when this happened. But I feel like there's a third party involved. Katie was rumored to have a boyfriend nearby. What if this person helped? Police checked all vehicles nearby that night, but a nearby neighbor wouldn't raise suspicion. They said suspension. They said the wrong word. There's also funny little mistakes in here. It's kind of funny. So he goes, no suspicion coming and going. The lights are something, or could be Sebastian being moved to the BF's home and or car. Maybe he was still barely breathing. Would explain why cadaver dogs didn't pick up anything. LE did scrutinize the backyard, which was where the lights area. So maybe they also suspect something, but can't prove anything. I don't know. Anything is possible, but the kid didn't just disappear on his own without a trace, in their opinion. Okay, but here's the thing. I've went back and forth all over the place about this case, and I do believe that there is a possibility he absolutely could have walked out of that house, out the back. Remember when they had the equipment in the backyard? He could have went, come on, Trick Trick. My dog's standing there looking at me like, why you got the door open? So, they there was activity in that backyard. And remember, they said, "Oh well, he was over to that retention pond." Well, here, let me ask y'all this: what if he did walk out that front door? What if he did go to that retention pond and through that retention pond, and then the dogs lost trace of him because his feet were washed in the retention pond, and he just went on? What if that is the case? Again, we don't know. I'm just saying it could have happened that way. Yes, the streets are dark, and yes, but there's also the flip side of that. Okay, I live on a street where there are no street lights, right? But we all have cameras, etc., at our front door. My camera picks up every noise, every movement, and I can see them clearly. So I don't know if the dark street has anything to do with it or not. All right. Then the next person says, and here's the next person, they're answering this, and they're going, um, I think the seamen on the job site are dropped off in one of those off-grid communities. No, how silly. The next one says, hence the fun-filled day Sebastian was treated. Jack, no, sorry. Uh, then somebody says, have you seen Reverend Seraphina's YouTube channel on Sebastian Rogers? Well, take a look. That's why Chris is saying that. And here's another one. Is it possible this case is fake? I believe this until I looked it up, and I can't do that. I just don't understand how all these leading factors of guilt with the Proudfoots and let them walk free because there are no leading guilt. Okay, stop it, people. The next person says, if Sebastian was seen in the area on February the 26th, who saw him? Why has this witness remained unidentified and their account withheld, right? If he is seen, if you don't know that he was seen, it's just if. You don't know if what sense he may have been seen, in what sense he may have been seen. See, it's got a lot of, you got to kind of make sense of it because there's typos and stuff in here, okay? So I'm just doing the best I can to read it. You just have a bunch of big ifs. How do you jump from the ignorance of an if to claiming that one witness account is being secretly withheld? Even if true, why do you have a right to know their names? We don't have rights to know. Thank you. That is a true statement. Don't get hung up on the boilerplate wording of missing posters or the notion that because police aren't telling everybody everything that there's a big conspiracy. No, there's not a big conspiracy. That needs to stop as well. Then here's another one. This guy goes, the reality is there are bad actors in every area. That should be crystal clear to the public. Yes, the public has the right to ask basic questions and get clear answers. However, accusations of shifting timelines from authorities and secretly withheld witnesses are not basic questions. Those are in fact groundless allegations. Your demand you demand clarity, yet you're clouding this case with conspiracy and nonsense. While I appreciate your point about transparency, the nature of active criminal investigations requires a certain amount of discretion and sensitivity. That's just the reality that we live in. See, and I'm going to agree with that statement 100%. Then now here, this person is very controversial on Reddit. There are people who think this is actually a family member. I'm going to say this name. The name is Boudica, which is Boudica 123456. There are people who believe this is either Chris or this is KK. I don't know that for a fact. It's just what's being put out there. Another one of those, right? And this is his statement. You were adamant that KP was the last person to see Sebastian. Are you saying you were wrong about that too? Boy, that would really blow your narrative. The FBI has accounted for all the vehicles in that neighborhood during that time frame in question. Sebastian is shown leaving the Texas Roadhouse. Have you forgotten the green hoodie guy video already? Is it curious that at the Amber Alert say the 26th and not the 25th? I'll give you that. Amber Alerts usually say the last seen at home or last seen at his or her residence. And this one says in the area of Stafford Court. So that wording is weird. And that wording is weird. So let's take that wording. When you sit back and you just look at everything that has said about this case and you start breaking down, word by word, sentence by sentence, this really makes sense, right? In the area of, that means he was seen somewhere, not at the house, but in the area of. Does that mean that they do have him on captured somewhere? But of course, they're not releasing it to the public because I believe that could be a possibility, you know? Um, so that, I don't know who the person is that wrote this, but they are making logical sense of it, right? So let me go back down to the next one. Then he goes, it's kind of interesting. So he goes, let me go back down there. Lost my place. My iPad just went whoop and I lost my place. So I'm not closed minded. The person goes, I'm not closed minded to new information. I'm also not married to the viewpoints if proven otherwise. I truly want this kid found and the perpetrators brought to justice. Well, there might not be a perpetrator. That's the problem. It does seem that Ellie has him on video in the neighborhood at some time on the 26th, and they are keeping that close to the vest. I'm curious as to why they would say, um, in the Amber Alert, I'm sorry, let me see what they're trying to write here. Hang on. I'm curious as to why they would say what they said in the Amber Alert if they want to keep this information close to the vest. This case is full of paradoxes. I think someone should contact Nick Barris and see if he knows why. He is the spokesperson for LE. If he doesn't know, then I'm sure he will ask. He has repeatedly said that he talks with several LE agencies connected to the case on a weekly basis for updates. SF might be another good person to contact, seeing he's working with Ellie also. But see, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know that any private investigators actually work with the police department. Typically, it's been my understanding that a private investigator is just that. It's a private investigator hired by a party to investigate the situation, but they do not work directly with law enforcement. Now, we know that at night, they changed their name again, at night, Creative Intel does not work with any law enforcement, nor do they have the credentials to work with any um, agencies in our country or any other country. So all they're saying there is misinformation. Okay. So then it goes. It also adds an extra emphasis on why they amended that Amber Alert when they offered that $50,000 reward to include that Sebastian had ties to the Clarksville area. Ellie also knows that he had ties to the Clarksville area. Why did they not include that from the beginning? They also could have amended that Amber Alert at any time after the initial alert to include, but didn't until they offered the reward. Now, see, that's strange too. Okay, so this is what we know as verified facts. Okay, Seth was much more lax about Sebastian's internet access than CP or KP. Seth has stated that his phone was so locked down that he, wait a minute. Now, Seth didn't say that. CP said his phone was so locked down that he couldn't even use his calculator. Seth would leave Sebastian alone while he was at work with the drive time to and from work, plus a 12-hour shift that equal about 14 hours a day. And a lot of that could be unsupervised internet access. It could be. Ellie gave the electronics from CP and KP's house back relatively quickly, within a couple of weeks. Ellie didn't give the PlayStation from Seth's house back for months and still has his Switch and tape and tablet laptop. Ellie doesn't just keep electronics for the fun of it. Seth has said Sebastian never used his tablet, so why would Ellie keep it this long? And if Sebastian was being left alone for long periods of time, how did Seth know he never used it? That's a good question. That is a valid question. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just reading aloud what is out on Reddit. Um, then there is the date of the 26th, not the 25th. On all the Amber Alerts and weird wording in the area of Stafford Court and the addition of ties to Clarksville in the amended Amber Alert when the reward was first offered. The known facts are starting to really heavily lean towards Sebastian being lured by someone, whether it was school kids acting like friends, school employees, or someone in the nearby vicinity of his neighborhood or Seth's neighborhood, or somehow online that he did not know personally. And that is a very real possibility. It is because I'm just, when a child, and there's nothing wrong with leaving Sebastian at home while he went to work. Sebastian was not a 3-year-old child. I mean, if as long as you are checking in with them, periodically during the day, it's okay to leave an older child at home like that. So if he is at home by himself for 14 hours playing on, a machine, a game of some sort, a PlayStation or whatever, there's every possibility that he absolutely could have met somebody, right? And they would find that in the game. Now, the other day, there was somebody put out something on Reddit. Jack, hang on, sorry. On Reddit about claiming to be Seth. No, Jack, no. Sorry. Claiming to be Seth. Well, we were able to look it up online while we were live, and there was no way that could have been Seth or Sebastian because that account was made in 2025. So there are cruel people out there who just do things and give false hopes, and that's what that was. So let me go back down here. The next guy says, oh boy. All right. So he goes, let's move on down to the next guy. I just dropped my iPad. I had to pick it back up. All right. He goes, okay. It also adds extra emphasis on why they amended the Amber Alert when they offered that $50,000 reward. Okay. So this is what we know. We talked about the verified facts. Perhaps they looked at the wrong time frame. We have seen where neighbors have been involved or they were nearby at the time. Maybe he was moved or taken out of that neighborhood later on. They should be looking into a few weeks before or after at least. And I agree with that little statement because if this was planned, things would be going on that were unusual before. Okay. You don't need to have an unlocked phone to use the calculator. Look up the app about the calculator. It's very red flag myself. I've never heard of that specific calculator app until we watch it on Queen Bee. It just shows how much CP and KP kept his access to a minimum. Seth wouldn't say that unless his phone was seriously contained. And it would possibly explain why he didn't take his phone. It would be useless to him. That's right, it would have been useless to him because he had no access to the internet on the phone he was provided at their home. I'm so confused about the possibility that Sebastian was seen on the 26th. How is that possible? Please help me understand. These people, there's some really good questions here. Somebody says, please have updated the Amber report and changed the date to the 25th, last seen at Texas Roadhouse. Okay, so let's go off. We'll go to the next screen. So, I mean, there's so many things out there. We've heard so many things. We've seen so many things. I don't know about you, but I'm honestly very confused when it comes to this case. Okay, because every time you turn around, it's something different. So I'm very confused. Okay, wait a minute. Oops. Oh, did somebody just? I had another thing on Sebastian. I'd asked a question. I think somebody just answered me. So hang on. Let's see if they answered me. Okay, here we go. I hope so. I hope so. Anyway. Okay. I'm looking at Sebastian Rogers today to see if somebody's put anything else out there. Okay. Okay, this was from 9. Okay, this is Rogers lost. Okay, wait a minute. Is Sebastian Rogers, is this Sebastian Rogers, Justice for Young Sebastian, TikTok clip at a boxing match? Has anybody seen this? This was from a month ago. Something about a boxing match, about they think they saw him. So I'm going to look and see if I see anything here because I don't remember seeing this until today. Oh, let me turn that down. Hang on a minute. Oops. Let me see. I don't see anything here. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's this? Hang on, guys. I'm looking at this YouTube. I would share the screen, but I don't know how to do that on my phone. I don't think I can. So I don't know if anybody's talked about that before or not on YouTube. I'm not sure. Then here we go. Something from 11 days ago. The missing son. Okay, that was about the Roblox. We've already debunked the Roblox thing, so that's not real. Let's see. An unpopular theory. Here's another one. First and foremost, I believe in hope, and hope young Sebastian is alive and well. However, could Sebastian have taken his life? The reason I post is bruises around his neck. I wonder if in the past he attempted suicide due to his ongoing abuse. Sebastian endured being abused sexually as a young 7 or 8 year old by a 13-year-old boy, formerly a family friend of the Proudfoots, and was a registered SO. Around Sebastian, according to the bio dad Seth Rogers, when Sebastian was young, if a child has gone through SA, why would any parent allow a co-parent to spank? Wait a minute, this is crazy how this is written. Hang on, guys. All right. What it is like this big run-on sentence. They don't have. Okay. Uh, he goes, why would any parents allow a co-parent spank an autistic child and humiliate him on the buttocks, coupled with something about a stepchild of CP who punched? Wait a minute. Oh, who he punched in the mouth. Yes, we've heard about this before. Nina Gomez, CP's fourth daughter, and witness. This is crazy. CP, he would not have gained custody. Only my thoughts, just a theory. Please, God, angels, bring the truth, comfort, and justice and love, and a good outcome. Katie looks to God. In the clips with the Chronicles of Olivia, I sensed she was asking God if he was all right. I think the thud was Sebastian. I think Katie interjected Sebastian's response. I think no, I don't see. I don't think anybody should be putting that out there because a child of his age, I just don't see him thinking that that would ever be the answer. I don't see that. Not at all. But TBI knows everything, right? LE knows everything. They all know everything. Oh Lord, listen to this one. Um, this one says this is awful. Not again, not my opinion. This one says Katie killed him first, and then Chris removed him. Then this person goes, "Oh, I totally 100%, 10% agree. Chris had to think fast after what Katie did to him. That was fatal. As far as LETBI is concerned, I wonder if their silence is because they are still waiting and watching KNC's every move. But I think their leaving to Mississippi was a huge red flag." Okay. See, I don't think people ought to be saying that either. Also, risk of prison. Lying about this and all the resources is an automatic prison term. Look at the Sherry Papini hoax. She got prison time years later for a much smaller hoax. And then they go, I doubt this is the case. The next person goes, I'm not sure why you think CP would ever get custody with 2 CPS reports and a current restraining order. First, he has to get the restraining order removed, and then he may have supervised visits. Well, we know that's not true because we know that his little girl, I'm just going to use the word F, has been to his house many times and after this happened. So the next person goes, others in that family know exactly what happened as well. I mean, the grandparents and the grandmother. I can't express enough that K and C are the most cold hearted people on this planet, that even after they caused this to happen to Sebastian, they still won't help their son by telling the truth. The theories about Sebastian running away is so not believable to me. Why? Because I have taught autistic kids like Sebastian for 30 years, and from my experience and what I've heard about Sebastian's behavior, he wasn't a runner. Okay? But Sebastian was, but he goes, but Sebastian did not know how to read the environment. This is true. My theory is Katie fatally injured him and she knows what happened, and Casey are only making it worse on themselves by not telling the truth. Right now, if they are ever charged, they're going to away for life. At least have the decency to help your son by telling the truth. Okay, I don't think people ought to be saying these kind of things again, but they do say them. Here's another thing to think about. Look at Adam Montgomery. We all know what Adam Montgomery did. The trial was there. Kaylee, his little girlfriend, told. But still, to this day, Adam Montgomery will not tell anybody where the body is because that is the last thing that he can keep about this because he's a narcissistic animal, right? What made me think about this is somebody saying, "Oh, please help by at least being honest about where he is." Well, they may not know where he is, people. I know it sounds weirdy, but they may not know where he is, right? Um, Here's another thing to think about. And at first, I mean, I wasn't sure, but as time has moved on in this case, I feel like even if she did something, I'm not saying she did, but even if she did something, I don't think Chris knew about it. If she did something, I think she hid it from Chris. Now you got to think about her. She has a very traumatic childhood, and childhood trauma can cause sociopathic or psychopathic traits. They don't have they lose the ability to have the same or to have normal feelings like we do. Okay, so that trauma could cause her to be able to lie to him and him not know it, right? I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there that could or could not have happened that possibly could. Um, oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Do I have some news here? Hang on just a second. Something just popped up. Let me see what it says. Okay. Oh no, something else. Okay, that was something else. It has nothing to do with it. Okay, let me go look over here. But I'm just, all the scenarios are wild. The comments are wild. It's ugh, it's crazy. Now listen to this. This is a great point. Someone should ask CP if he heard KP ask Sebastian about the fall. Remember, they were supposedly on the phone call. I also found it really interesting that she said she was also reading for school. What time did they leave the Texas Roadhouse? They got home, got him ready to read, got him ready, and then she starts studying, got on the phone with CP by 9 p.m. I don't know. The dogs found no scent. Now, this is from somebody from administration. I don't know what this is. It says the dogs found no scent of him leaving the house. There are ring cameras around that whole neighborhood. I don't believe he left the home. There's nothing showing he ever came back from eating out with his mom. I feel like somehow someone drove him away. I think the mom knows something and Chris is protecting her. Katie hadn't been out looking for him. She left the house after he was reported missing. I don't know about you, but if my child was missing, I'd be hysterical. I'd be crying every day and trying to find him every day. I wouldn't leave my house to go stay someplace else in case my child came home. I know we all don't react the same way, but my goodness, her and Chris went shopping for a motorcycle? Who does that? That's right, who does that? Okay, that was weird. And no, we don't all react the same. Now here we go. If she disposed of him that close to home, he would have been found by now because buzzards or even animal or activity would have made their presence known rather quickly. Yes, they do. You know, they dig things up quickly. She wouldn't have time to dig a hole deep enough to hide him in just a few minutes. The cameras outside would reveal the time she left and came back. So that doesn't even work. It's a conundrum for sure. But also, makes it somewhat likely someone could have instructed him how to avoid cameras if they had surveyed the area in advance and told him how to meet them without being seen. Y'all remember this? Remember when they're in the restaurant and she's talking to him? Okay, and here's something I'm going to say this, and it's not popular. Please, and you don't have to agree with me, and it's okay if you don't. But it just came to my mind, and I just want to put it out there and get other people's opinions. How do we know that Texas Roadhouse video that was put out by At Night was not tampered with? And here's the reason why I'm going to say this. Yes, we know she took a picture of Sebastian, right? We know Green Hoodie was by this vehicle, and we know Yellowcoat was outside. But has anybody ever stopped to think that it is so very easy to take a video like that and splice it, cut it, whatever, and to impose or, put things in people's hand? The picture where the yellow coat guy is looking at a phone that supposedly has Sebastian's picture on it, I don't believe that's real. I believe that that is part of the narrative that At Night Intel, whatever they call themselves, trying to put that story out there. I believe that they made that picture of that phone in his hand like it's spliced in there. It's not it it's not real. That is not a real picture. There's no way. Green Hoodie. Why is it everything around her is perfectly clear, but when you look at that recording, Green Hoodie is all like kind of blurred up? Why? That also, I think that they did that intentionally. There's so many things that it's in that video that if you sit and watch it and you don't know anything at all about anybody, if you sat and watched it, you would go, "Oh my God, there it is, there it is." But once you start figuring out the things about all the different players, as far as the parents, the At Night people, all the people releasing this information, when you start figuring out things about these people, you realize it's so easy for them to present you with something that is not real. I do not believe the Texas Roadhouse is real. Sorry. Okay. Period. It's just not. So, anyway, moving right along, I just think, hey, Cindy, really good to see you. I just think there's just like so many things about that the Texas Roadhouse video that I just don't believe it's real. I don't. Far as him taking the trash out, remember even Seth said, well, it was so grainy we couldn't tell who it was. So the only people saying it was him was her. So there again, that's something else to look at. There's so many different things about this case. And I wish, and you're going to go see what Mob Crew has for us today. This is from Coupon. I'll catch replay. Thanks, Little Red. Go check out Mob Crew. Fine, it's fine. Here's the thing. I don't think that what makes you believe that. I don't see the benefit. Well, okay, KJ Mack. Here's the reason why I believe this. Okay, if you think about, there's been several different changes in the narrative of what happened to this child over the 2-year period. Okay. Well, the people putting out the changes in the narrative is who? At night. That's why I'm saying this, because they are seemingly the only people that is changing the narrative on what happened to him. Everybody else is like, I don't know, but it's like, oh, he's out of the country. Oh, he's in Tel Aviv. Oh, we're going to go across the border. Oh, there's just so many things that they put out there, and none of it's real. None of it came true. None of it was real. Here's another thing about this. Remember the billboards that had the ugly things that was pointing everything directly at KP and CP? Those weren't real. They were just AI generated, and they were just on X, just to cause a stir. See, I think they started out just trying to keep his name out there, but I think they just went too far and got too crazy with it, and I think that kind of made them um, look a little shady in the situation. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say. The green hoodie person, um, LE says they know who it is. Yellow Jacket LE says they know who it is. I mean, they're never going to tell us, and that's okay. They don't have to. That's fine. I just don't believe it. I don't know. Okay, KJ says, I don't think they fabricated the footage. It's too easy to find evidence of that. Now, I do think they wanted to create a spin. And yeah, see, I can see that creating that spin and that emotion. I do, because that keeps people looking at it, keeps people looking at it. I just don't know about that footage. To me, it seemed, I don't know. To me, it seems like it's kind of been edited a little bit. That's what I'm going to say about it. It looks like it's been edited to me. Okay. And, could be, couldn't be. We don't really know. Nobody really knows, right? I don't know. I just don't know. Then I know people are talking about Lori, that friend now. Here's another narrative that's kind of being put out there. They're talking about her friend Lori and how quickly she got to the house, but she lives in another state. Well, here's the thing. We don't know if she was staying in a hotel somewhere close by there. And we don't know if after they left the parking lot. I mean, like, they could be at the stop sign, and at a stop sign somewhere, and he could get out and go meet up with Lori and her child. Who knows? We don't know. I mean, there's so many times when for a person to get out of a car, it only takes a second, right? If you've got loud music playing, then you're not going to hear a car door. Or if you have um, a very expensive car, sometimes when you shut the car door, you don't hear it, right? Some of those cars are just soundproof like. But I know we also have him on her whatever's in her car that picked up the conversation they were having on the way home. But we don't know what part of the trip home, because it was only so many minutes of the trip home. So we don't know that either. There's so many things we just don't know. I pray every day they find this child. I do. I want him found. And if somebody is guilty of doing something to him, please take care of that. Take them to court. Get them, get justice for Sebastian. Whatever the problem is, get justice for him. It's so important. I mean, I don't know. I've been watching the mob career. I've watched all of it. And then you got to ask yourself, here's another question. I'm just asking y'all. I'm asking. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. But why would somebody hold on to footage for almost 2 years and then start putting it out about the lights, the cars, the cemetery, all that? Why would they do that? I don't know. We do know that there were other channels talking about the recreations that they made themselves out there in that area. How do we know that some of this stuff is not the recreations that was given to them like it was real? And so they think they're doing something when they're really not, because it was a recreated situation. I don't know. Because you can change the dates on these things. We've seen that. I don't know. I just don't know. But we have another child that we're looking for, and that's Devlin Tate. Let's talk about Devlin Tate for a minute. Now, Lady Freedom over there at Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives has been talking about this case a lot. Her and I decided we would kind of work on it together. I'm letting her go with all of the interviewing and that kind of stuff, because I just want to do the background stuff. I just want to find I think they want to upset the Foots. I think they thought they would put them on the edge, and it failed. Oh yeah, KJ, see, I can see that, right? I think that's why they made that one billboard directly pointed toward them, but it was just put out online. It wasn't a real billboard anywhere. And I think it was to piss them off, right? Okay. I mean, and I'm not saying everything they did was bad, because I understand the game. Well, it's not a game. I understand what they were hired to do was keep his name out there. I get that, right? But there's just some things I think some things just went too far, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there. Let's talk about Devlin Tate for a minute. Now, I've been going in the background, and I've been getting information on Devlin Tate from the sheriff's department and things like that. Let me see if there's any more updates over here. I need to catch up. I have not been. I need to catch up on other people's lives. I haven't been doing it. I need to catch up. Come on. Wish my little iPad would move along here. Now let's see. Update. That was 2 minutes ago. Is there anything current? Let's see. Family seeks answers. Here are the facts. Here, this is from 4 weeks ago, and this is the facts. It says. Okay. What? Mary Munch read this article. Unsealed evidence. What do you mean? Lost in the routine. Let's look at this very quick. Here we go. Okay, this is new. I have not seen this. This is new. Okay, Devlin Tate is missing. He was 18. But now he's 19. He has a mole on his left side of his nose, and he walks long distances, known throughout the community. He's vulnerable and can be manipulated. He takes his lithium daily. Oh, lithium! I didn't know he was taking lithium, and he often wears casual clothing. So, case update. This case file has been updated to correct earlier public reporting after communications with an individual with firsthand knowledge of the case and related information. Certain identifying details have been intentionally limited to protect their privacy and safety. We appreciate them taking the time to clarify details so accurate information can be shared with one goal in mind, and that's finding Devlin Tate. So, on the morning of April 21st, 2025, Devlin Tate followed what looked like his normal routine into Lake Odessa, Michigan. There was nothing dramatic about it. No arguments, no signs of distress, no one sounding an alarm right away. Devlin is believed to have left his home around 7:28 a.m. That wasn't unusual. He was known for walking daily, sometimes long distances, often through town and beyond. Walking was part of his routine. At 8:21 a.m., Devlin was captured on a camera at Carl's Supermarket in Lake Odessa, and that footage was 100% confirmed. It was confirmed it was him. After that, there is nothing solid. No confirmed camera footage, no verified sightings, no activity on his cards or identification, just a growing gap where Devlin should have been. By the end of the day, concerns had turned into fear. Devlin didn't come home. He didn't check in. He didn't show up where people were expected to see him. And for a town that knew him well, that silence was loud. Okay, so early descriptions of Devlin painted him as a childlike and physically limited. Those descriptions were incomplete and, in keywords, incorrect. He was not childlike. He was maybe younger at age by a couple of years, maybe 15, 16, but not like 12 or 13, okay? Devlin was legally deemed competent by a judge. He did not have physical disabilities that prevented him from walking, completing chores, or navigating his daily life. In fact, he regularly took long walks, including walking between Lake Odessa and Hastings, something many people would find exhausting. Well, let me explain to you why he was doing that. Oh, Cinderella, hey there. I'm sorry, let me look. Yeah, I didn't know he took lithium. That's new too. See what I'm talking about? You can't believe anyone. You're right, Cinderella, you can't. Okay, now, um, it says, yeah, I'd never heard about the lithium. He goes, people knew, okay. He did not have physical disabilities that prevented him from walking or completing chores. People who knew him described Devlin as capable, independent in daily routines, and deeply woven into the fabric of the community. Devlin also had a mild Tourette syndrome. Those familiar with him state that he did not significantly complicate that did not complicate his life daily. It did not limit his independence or interfere with his ability to navigate the community. 460,000 missing kids. Oh wow. That's terrible. Not because he was incapable, but because he was trusted. Okay, he was very vulnerable. It's because he trusted people easily. You know what? That could be bipolar, KJ Mack. You're right. Absolutely could be. He trusted easily. He wanted connections, and people in town were known to take advantage of that. Friends would see this kind of reminds me of poor little Sebastian because he wanted friends so badly. People would take advantage of him. I can see that happening. Friends would tell him to meet them somewhere, only to never show up. That's not a friend, okay? That's not a friend. Devlin would still go, still walk there, and still believe that vulnerability matters in understanding what may have happened without stripping him of an agency or dignity. All right. A known fact in this small town. Well, one of the problems is that sounds like it's written by AI. It's actually coming from, let me see where this is coming from. It's called Unsealed Evidence, and it says missing, lost, the routine and disappearance of Devlin Tate Okay, I'm trying to find. All right. All right. Now, one of the things that we know about Devlin is he had to leave the house because they didn't let him stay there. Basically, they were kind of making him homeless. I mean, I feel so bad for this child. I mean, I just felt like everybody took advantage of him. That's what I think, and I feel like that. I feel like that about Sebastian too. People take advantage of him. Makes me so mad. I bet. Okay. Okay. So KJ says they ran through AI. I'd bet large sums of money on that. Well, they might have, but I'm just trying to read what the latest that I can see with information on him in written form. Because, but we know that some of the things they're saying are not real. Because we know that he did not have this. I don't know that he took lithium daily. Do you? I mean, that's new to me. I don't know if that's real. I need to ask Lady Freedom about that. Okay, so not okay. Then it goes. A known fact in the small town. Devlin wasn't invisible. He walked through town daily. He checked with people he cared about. He visited places routinely, including the police station, where he would talk with the chief. He attended church every week by choice. He was known at Penny's Pizza, where staff regularly fed him simply because they knew him and cared about him. Devlin had a habit of forming close emotional bonds with women who gave him attention. Well, every man does that. That's normal, right? you know, if someone treated him kindly, he would quickly see them as family, often referring to them as an aunt. He made it a point to check with all of his aunts daily. He was social and people knew that. For someone so visible, so routine, and so embedded in the community, no one has a confirmed sighting of Devlin after 8:21 a.m. Okay. Anger issues. Now this I've heard a little bit about. He was reportedly on probation and related to a prior physical assault involving his grandmother. That is not included to assign blame. Okay, so they're not telling us to blame him, just to let you know he has a little bit of an anger issue. Okay, those close to him described Devlin as normal in daily functioning, but emotionally reactive. He could become angry, frustrated, or overwhelmed, particularly when his routine was disrupted. Yes, that's with autism. We know that about these kids. That's very real. Um, Medical risk. One of Devlin's daily medication. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, so I'm not going to say anything else about the lithium because I don't know that that's true. All right. The search. Let's look at the search efforts. Okay, Jack, you got to. Okay, my dog. Hang on, Jack, you got to get off of me, buddy. Jack is up here trying to sit in my lap, and I'm like, come on, you're knocking the phone out of my hand. So, Lake Odessa has been searching multiple times. It includes boots on the ground, canine units, and drones. The local dump has been searched, but no physical trace has been found. Here's the phone. Okay, Devlin's phone is still missing. At approximately 11:38 p.m., a phone ping associated with Devlin's was recorded in the area of a local trailer park. This ping does not confirm Devlin's location at the time, only that his phone was active or detected in that general area. The phone itself has not been recovered. Okay, it's described as a cheap Android phone, likely a Boost prepaid, in a red phone case. Efforts are ongoing to locate it. They have since put out a BOLO has been placed on his ID, Social Security card, and food assistance cards. None have been used. No financial activity has been recorded. Devlin's Facebook account raises additional questions, but timing is critical to understand this. The Facebook posting questions were not made while Devlin was missing. The Facebook posts were visible on his account months prior to his disappearance, and screenshots of them were taken months back. Most recently, it was noted that those older posts are now missing. It's been confirmed that the family does not have access to Devlin's social media accounts and is not believed to be responsible for any changes. A source was able to message Devlin's Facebook early in the case. More recently, attempts to message the account resulted I cannot send. Oh, that's interesting. A source message, okay, at this time, it is not known whether it is due to Facebook actions, account restrictions, or something else entirely. Hey, that's great. Let's see. I wonder. Well, if none of the family members had access, who's it's been confirmed by who? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Hey, Jackie. Let's see. Who's Jackie? That's what I want to figure out. How do they know that? I have to figure out. I want to find the actual writer about this. It says, learning more for Gift of Fear. Oh, this is by Gavin D. Becker. So this person that runs this is called Gavin D. Becker. All right. So I want to reach out to Gavin D. Becker, and I'm going to ask them, how do you know this, that, and the other? And then we'll report back on that because I want to know, how does he know this? Okay. Then it goes, family. Contrary to some online speculation, sources confirm that the Tate family has been cooperative. Family members, including Sabrina, Will, and Tamara, have reportedly offered to take lie detector tests. There is no indication from search connected sources that the family has obstructed any efforts. There is also a $6,000 reward being offered for information leading to Devlin. Details about who established the reward are unclear, but increasingly it significantly increases the chance that someone will come forward. I don't think so. I don't think $6,000 is enough. So Lake Odessa has a very limited camera coverage. The gap may be one of the biggest obstacles in this case, because yes, if he was seen walking someplace else and there wasn't a camera, nobody saw it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've been on here about an hour. I'm going to get off soon because I got some other things I got to do. I'm going to contact this Gavin D. Becker, who is a part of the site here. Let me go down here to the bottom, and I'm going to ask. Okay, there is absolutely an email that I'm going to email this guy and I'm asking him, how do you know these facts? Okay, it's called unsealedevidence@gmail.com. So I'm going to email them, ask them, how do they know these facts that they're putting out on this page? Okay, because what I'm seeing is not some of the things that we've been heard before. And then once I get the email, I'll report back. We'll talk about it again. Okay, so the questions we're going to ask is, how do they know about the lithium and some other things? And I'll get back to y'all on that. And so we'll find out on that. And then what else did I want to, I mean, because don't put things out there not true. I don't like that. You know, it just causes confusion and problems. I think it's just counterproductive to the case, and it's just not fair to the kids. It's not fair to those kids that are missing, because those kids that are missing become missing in their own lost case. It's just terrible. Anyway, I'll see you all guys later. Have a good afternoon. Go do something fun. Enjoy the day. You know, enjoy the day. Make the most out of it. My dog is going to bark. Hang on a second. He's going to go outside. Okay. He's jumped through the back door now. I can stop. Why is, okay, wait a minute. Why is the amount of kids missing has jumped for $160,000 since our government has been finding these kids? It's scary. It is. Who confirmed that the family didn't have access? That's one of the questions I'm going to ask KJ Mack. I want to know how they know that. Who told them that? If it's the family, then that could be true or not true. We don't know, right? Thank you. Run, free doggy, run. Yes, my dog needs to go outside. He's, you know, Frenchies are, Jack is a male Frenchie, and he's just so overbearing, oh, he's so over everything. I still love him. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy your day. Bye, guys.